Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Tom Moorcroft. I'm so happy to have you here. And if you're looking for some simple, effective ways to dramatically improve your health without having to break the bank or to spend all day doing it, then you've got the right video for you. Stay tuned because today we're gonna dive into my top 5 hacks to improve your health. You know, one of the things that's always been important to me is this journey that we're on to a healthier life. In my life, I've had ups and downs, and really, those really small changes that led to the significant improvements and the major long-term impacts in my life. So today, we're gonna be exploring the 5 essential hacks that are gonna help you stay in touch with things like hydration, movement, connecting to the planet, getting great sleep, and so on. And we're really gonna be looking at the things that are going to move the needle the most for you. So let's embark on this journey together, transforming our daily habits into these stepping stones towards lasting health. So without further ado, here's hack number 1. And it's really about starting your day with hydration. You know, this is one of the most talked about and also underutilized approaches to improving your long-term health. And in fact, your short-term health. I mean, often I'll wake up in the morning feeling a little groggy. You know, I'm kind of coming out of that deep sleep mode. But you know, my body's been very parasympathetic while I'm sleeping. So my gut's doing its job. My detoxification, you know, pathways have been open and doing all their work. So they need to flush out, right? So one of the things that I love to do is just to start the day off with 16 ounces of water. It is the simplest thing to do, but when you make it a daily habit, where this is like you get up, you go to the restroom, and then you have your water, this will become completely life-changing. And some of the practical tips for really making this doable in your everyday life, because you know, I talk to so many people who are like, Dr. Tom, I'm not so into the hydration because water doesn't taste good to me. Well, I would say that if water doesn't taste good to you, number one, you're probably toxic, and the more you drink it and flush your system out, the more your body's gonna crave it. However, you can enhance the flavor of your water by putting in some low glycemic index fruits like blueberries or raspberries or blackberries, and raspberries and blackberries are some of my favorites. You could even add some strawberries, but you want stuff where you just slice it up a little, or if it's like if it's a strawberry, if it's one of the other berries, you can just muddle it, just smash it a little bit, and then maybe even leave it in the water, you know, overnight. Go grab it out of the fridge. It just really can infuse with a lot of flavor. Some people like to put some herbs in, you know, some people like mint, some people like other things. You could certainly put some cilantro in. I mean, ginger can work, and even I know some people just put a little bit of cucumber in there. My daughter Talia absolutely loves putting cucumber with just a little sprinkle of salt in there. You know, and that's one of the other things that's so important to get the hydration into the body. A lot of times you need some electrolytes or simply just a little pinch of sea salt, and that'll just help it really get absorbed. So one of the things I want to do is give you a pro tip too. What I do at home is I actually drink hydrogen water as my first water of the day. Now throughout the day I'll drink kind of, you know, regular filtered water, but I start the day with molecular hydrogen in my water. This is a powerful free radical scavenger. This is a great antioxidant. And one of the things that's so great is I started doing it so much with some of the over-counter approaches. I actually went and I purchased myself an Echo 2 hydrogen water generator, and this dramatically, it just made it so much easier for me, and it totally changed my entire health because, you know, my daughter might come home bringing in, you know, some kind of virus going around from her school or whatever, and I just seem to not get it anymore. Our healthy lifestyle, it's not like I ever got sick a lot, but man, it's just like really supercharge it. My recovery from athletic events, I do a lot of skiing and mountain biking. My family loves hiking together. So when we do these things, we need to recover, and the hydrogen water has really helped with that. So if you're gonna do a ton of hydrogen water and you find you really like it, definitely think about getting something like an Echo 2, which is the one that we use, and throwing it on your countertop so that you can plug it right into the sink. It'll filter your water, it'll generate the hydrogen, and that's amazing. So I'll put the link to that in the description below if you'd like to learn more about it. But another quick hack is I'm about to go traveling, a little vacation, a little work with the family. One of the things I love to do is take my hydrogen water with me, right? And I could buy a little hydrogen water bottle that'll generate it and stuff, but that's heavy and I gotta take it. And maybe I just wanna have convenience, and maybe I don't wanna buy like this thing and plug it into my faucet or whatever. So we use H2 Absorb, which are molecular hydrogen tablets from Research Nutritionals. You just drop them in your water, you let them fizz up. When it's about 3/4 of the way gone, you know, dissolved, you just start drinking away. And after that, you just finish that glass right, you know, just after the whole thing is dissolved. And there you go, you have it to travel. What's beautiful too is you can do it at home or on the road. It's in a blister pack, and there's so many companies that make really good products now, but this is the only one I found that doesn't come in a bottle. right? It's in a blister pack. I can put it in my pocket. My wife puts it in her purse. My daughter puts it in her backpack. I can throw it in the backpack for a plane ride. It just makes it so much easier to do. So definitely check those out. I'll put a link to that in the description as well, because I want you to have access to the tools that I'm actually using at home and that my family and I are using to optimize our health. So again, a little sprinkle of some electrolytes or some sea salt and then some hydrogen water are gonna just really supercharge this. And if you need some flavor, go for it. It's an amazing way to up your hydrogen. Then just go for it, because it's an amazing way to up your hydration by simply drinking a little bit more water. And hack number 2 is integrate movement and nature. Now, this may sound a little weird, but you know what's really interesting is our movement is essential to life. It's, when we talk about detoxification, we looked at the lymphatic channels. In the arms and the legs, we need muscle contraction, we need movement between the chest, the belly, and the pelvis. In order to move all those lymphatic fluids and get the toxins out, we actually need to take some deep breaths, and we need to change pressure gradients. And one of the easiest ways to, change pressure gradients there and to get that muscle contraction in the arms and legs is just to walk around and move, go jump around, play around, swing in a tree if you want. You'll have a good time with it and make it exciting. But movement is kind of the essence of life, because when we start to talk about drainage of the brain, we're actually going to talk about deep sleep. So that'll be coming a little bit later in one of our other hacks on how to get good sleep. But it starts with getting up in the morning, moving your body, getting outside and getting really good natural light whenever possible. And then really nature, we need to connect again. And so many of us will spend a lot of time outdoors and connecting, but so many of us have also been pulled away. We're coming out of this pandemic where everybody was more and more isolated. And it was just like, it's the connectivity. I have to admit, like earlier today I was out skiing. It was an amazing time. I clipped a little bit of an edge after a little bit of a bumpy ride and I actually kind of bumped into a tree, which is very unusual for me. It was quite scary, but one of the things that happened was I literally will sit there and I apologize to the tree. And then I say thank you for, essentially saving me, because I believe that there's a unique and innate intelligence in nature. And maybe that's not your gig, but there's a connectivity to life, and that's the important part. And that's really what I want you to take home today, is to really understand that you are interconnected with the ecosystem around you. And maybe going out in nature is a way to get the fresh air and to get the vitamin D from the sunlight. The sunlight that you get outside is going to trigger serotonin, one of our happy hormones, and it's going to trigger our brain, our pineal gland, to make melatonin, which is going to help us go to sleep later. But more on that in a moment. So whether it's a walk in the park, stretching in your backyard, taking the dogs for a walk, going skiing, riding, taking a hike, taking a swim, take the time to reconnect with nature and do something that requires a little bit of movement, gets you just your breath going just a little bit, because that's going to be flushing out all these toxins. And it's also going to reinvigorate you and take you to that next level of health. Now, a couple practical tips here. One is set a reminder. Put it in your calendar, have your phone alert you or your computer alert you that it's time to do it, right? So if you don't schedule it, you're not going to get it done. And the other thing here is pick a time of day that you can do it kind of on a regular basis. For me, I have certain days of the week where I have a morning routine where I go do this, and other days where I have the afternoon routine. That works best in my work schedule. But if my work schedule wasn't the way it was, I would definitely have it all at the same time every day. Now, one of my favorite pro tips here, if you want to optimize movement, maybe you're sick and you don't feel like you can get outside, or maybe the weather is not the way you want it to be, one of the best things you can do is check out the Power Plate Whole Body Vibration Plate. This thing is incredible. I've done other videos on this. It is my favorite tool to just hop on. I can get 9 minutes, usually 6 to 7 times a week. Rarely do I get only 5. It's one of these things that vibrates my body, and it's movement, and it's moving for me. It's improving bone density, heart health, helps people lose weight or maintain proper body weight. It improves your recovery from a lot of activities. So it is absolutely spectacular. Definitely recommend you check that out. And also down below we'll link to the Power Plate, because I know they always have great sales going on for our customers. And down below I'll link to the Power Plate. You can learn all about it. And we'll also put the link to our other video showing how I use the Power Plate. Hack number 3 is to embrace whole foods and mindful eating. So many people ask me like, hey, Dr. Tom, what should I eat? Should I do keto? Should I do paleo? Should I do low carb? Should I go, like, what's the scoop? I've even heard low fat and, and high carb, which if you look at the research just shows you're gonna get obese and diabetes. But some people are looking at it, so there's so many different options out there. What I'm suggesting you do is you do a whole food plant-based diet first, and then you add the protein of your choice afterwards. Notice nowhere in that sentence were there processed foods or overly sugary sweets. Now, can you have a sweet and a treat once in a while? Hey, if your health is in good shape, absolutely. When you have more, the healthier you are, the more flexibility you have. The less healthy you are, maybe you need to be on that, more strict diet for a while and really dial it in. I remember when I was sick, I needed to, I was like dying to get better, didn't know what to do. As I started doing more and more yoga, my body was like rejecting soda, processed foods, all this stuff that we thought was normal to eat. And, over a course of about a year and a half, I just stopped eating all this stuff. And then I was like, I'll have a soda once a year. And I had it, and it was so disgusting. I was just like, I'm never gonna touch this again. That works for me. But find what works for you. Start with whole foods, start with plants, add in the proteins. If you're gonna have meat, I like fat in it unless you have a medical condition where you can't do that, because that's gonna actually help optimize your health, increase the creation of hormones, and actually lower your cholesterol, not all that BS that we hear out there. Now, the other thing, and one of the biggest tips that I can tell you, is the mindful eating. Turn off the damn TV, maybe have some soft jazz or some classical or something calming in the background, but sit down and have a conversation with your partner, with your children, with your family. Create community around food, or maybe even eat quietly. One of the best things I was ever told was my daughter said, Dad, can you stop talking while you're chewing? I'm always trying to do so much, as you can tell, right? I'm so into this. But she was like, calm down. I'll wait until you're done chewing, because I don't like the sound, I don't like the way it looks. But it was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to eat and talk and think and relax all at the same time. So I calmed down, I started to just chew with my mouth closed, and really for proper and optimal digestion, you need to chew 30 to 40 times, if not 60 times before you swallow. The beginning part of the digestive tract is your mouth, and your teeth are there to chew and grind up the food, so that when all of that food gets down into your stomach, the stomach acids can do their job. A lot of people have trouble though with those not working because they're not starting off digestion properly, which is by chewing. So spend some time, be a little mindful, really enjoy, get emotionally involved in the yumminess of the food, right? And as you start to change that more whole food, plant-based diet, some of those foods may feel a little bit foreign, but just believe in yourself, believe in the wisdom of your subconscious mind, and it'll happen like it did for me, where your body starts to clean out. The better the food is, the better the hydration. The more you clean out, the more you move, and the better detoxified you become, then all those natural foods actually start to taste really good, and your body and your taste buds will crave it once you clean out all the junk. So definitely check that out. What a great way to eat. Now, a couple practical tips, right? One of them is, just like I said with scheduling movement, schedule your food. Maybe plan some meals out. Maybe on the weekend, check out a couple of recipes and then throw them in the calendar and put it down that you're gonna have this whole foods meal. And then the other thing, I can't say it enough, is calm down on the distractions, sit down and actually enjoy the process of eating, enjoy the community of your family. Just turn off the TV. You can always turn it on for a little bit of chilling out afterwards. Hack number 4 is to cultivate quality sleep and creative expression. So you might be saying, hey, Dr. Tom, what the heck does sleep and creative expression have to do with each other? Well, there's a ton actually, so let's dive into it. In order to get really great sleep, you need to get parasympathetic, which is kind of like our rest, rejuvenation, deep sleep mode of our nervous system. So if we're fight or flight, we're all anxious, we're all wound up like we are, we're on the TV all the time, we're getting all the blue lights, we're on the screen, playing games, checking social, all that kind of stuff. We gotta calm that down. So an hour, better yet 2 hours before bed, just cut some of that stuff out. Let the body calm down. So creative expression, where's that come in? Well, if we do things like we enjoy, reading or knitting or drawing, maybe it's playing the guitar or some other musical instrument. When we do something creative, we get ourselves in that flow state, and that flow state is associated with becoming more and more parasympathetic. And if you had a stressful day, would you rather distract yourself with like one of these, like, some online, streaming service that gives you cool videos or movies, something with lots of action and lots of violence? Or maybe would you like to express yourself through something like listening to calming music or playing the guitar? And which distraction is better, right? I mean, clearly, it's being creative and spending that time to get into that zone that feels good. And if you're like, hey, I don't get in the zone a lot when I do that, it's probably because you don't do it enough, right? So take the time to find the things that you really like before you go to bed and just relax into it. Now, a couple of practical tips here. One is, at night, we want to not have all the lights like I have shining on me right now, right? We want to dim the lights. If we can get some red light that doesn't have the blue in it, even better. If you need to be on a screen or the light bulbs all around the house have to have the full spectrum, make sure you're getting some blue blockers to kind of block that out. Get off the screens a minimum of an hour before bed, if not 2. Okay? And then one other of my favorites that everyone who's ever tried this has come back to me and said, Dr. Tom, I cannot believe how much this has helped, which is turn off your Wi-Fi at night, right? Turn off your router. I know you can't turn off your neighbors, but Wi-Fi and a lot of this EMF toxicity has a lot to do with how far away you are from the source. So the one in your house is going to be much more powerful than the one in your neighbor's. So one of the things that we love to tell our patients, and I tell everyone who will listen, is go buy like a $5 or $10 timer, put it in the wall, plug your router into it, set it, and forget it. Now, if you set it for, like, say 9:30 at night and it just goes off, all of a sudden nobody's connected to the internet anymore, and it's another trigger for you to get some, start your evening ritual that prepares you for sleep. So that can be a super helpful one, and then just have it turn on in the morning when you're going to need it for work or school or whatever else you're doing. So another practical tip is to limit your caffeine, right? I've heard all kinds of things. Limit it after noon, limit it after 2, limit it after 3, stop drinking coffee at 5. I absolutely love coffee. I think I got that from my dad. But definitely, I used to drink it later in the evening, and I realized, somewhere in that 3 to 4:30 range, is where I need to really cut it off. And the thing is, if you only have 1 or 2 cups in the morning, that's probably the best thing. So just think about limiting your caffeine, and also think about all the energy drinks and the sodas that people are having. Those are all crap. They have no nutritional value whatsoever, and they're giving you caffeine that might be disrupting your sleep. And the other thing is, if they have sugar in them, you're actually going to spike your insulin, and then in the middle of the night while you're trying to stay asleep, you're going to drop your glucose. And when you drop your glucose, your body's going to spike cortisol to convert stored sugar in your liver to active, sugar, so you can keep your blood glucose high, and you're going to wake up going, why am I awake and not sleeping? So limit the sugar and the caffeine at night. Now, one of the pro tips I'd like to share with you, and I also have a gift for you, is download my 30-minute Drift Off to Sleep meditation. This is a guided track that you can get by clicking the link below. And in that track, we have binaural beats, meaning there's a slightly different frequency in either ear. Put some headphones on temporarily, because once you're, when you're done, turn it off, throw them off. Put those headphones on. This will help bring your brain waves down into a delta brainwave state so you can get some sleep. I'll also guide you through a progressive relaxation and releasing all the stress of the day so that you're primed to take that really, really deep sleep. So check it out. It's a free gift from me to you, and the link will be in the description. And hack number 5 is digital detox. Now, we've kind of talked about this a little bit throughout, but the thing is, we are all so into our little devices and we're on them so much. They're very helpful tools, but what's really interesting is if you take like a 2 or 3-year-old, they're playing with their favorite toy. When they study this, the kids generally will play with their very, very, very favorite toy for about 30 minutes. And then afterwards, they go on to something else. And if you happen to come up to them while they're playing with it and say, hey, will you share that with me? Can I play with you using your favorite toy? They'll be like, sure, let's all come together. But now, let's take the same child, young child, you just put a tablet in front of them with a movie or a game that's age appropriate. They will play for hours and hours and hours. And if you ask them to have it, there's no way in hell they're gonna give it to you. We see this in young children, we see this in teens, we see this in adults. This is really video game and video on the screen addiction. This has become such a big deal that in medicine we have a thing called an ICD-10 right now. But the ICD manual is all about the diagnosis codes. What are medically appropriate diagnoses, and what are the numbers that researchers and insurance companies can use to kind of know, just give them a number and then they know what the diagnosis is. But what's really interesting is ICD-11 is about to come out, and video game addiction is becoming part of it. There is literally going to be a diagnosis code for video game addiction. This is how significant it is. So what I'm going to suggest is that, use these tools when they're most appropriate, but also have limits. put a timer on. You can put screen time. I do focus time. I get weekly reminders of like, how much have you used and what are the breakdowns, how much of it's work and how much of it's, screwing around, and how much of work is actually not really work. So one of the things that I will say, when you do a digital detox, it's best to go cold turkey. So this is not about using screens for work or school, but it's for all the video watching, especially the gaming, and just nonstop, just kind of being on it, staring at it, that's the kind of thing. So you can actually, there's a lot of research on this, you can actually be on it for work or school and not on it for these other things, because what they're doing is they're giving you little hits of dopamine and other brain chemicals by intermittently rewarding you in that game. Now, if I work and I look at work, I'm not really getting intermittently rewarded that much, and I mean, unless your boss is phenomenal at figuring out how to keep you focused, right? It's like you're doing your job and it is what it is, but it's not like you just want to sit there all day and just keep on typing it. You're looking for that relief, and that's why social media with its quick blasts of all kinds of information is so addictive. So taking the time to unplug can really rejuvenate your body, your mind, and ultimately your health. And one of the things I noticed, like I went through a period where it was a little bit challenging for me to not to turn the TV on after dinner, right? And then it got a little extra stressful, and then we turned on the TV during dinner. And then it was like communication in our house just like fell apart. Now, we figured this out, but it was a couple months, and it was mostly like, I'm like, oh, I just need to relax. But I gotta tell you, making the decision to just cold turkey turn it off and maybe do one night of TV with the family on the weekend was one of the greatest things we ever did, because our relationships deepened, and the stress I was feeling from the day, both for myself, my wife, and my daughter, was so much diminished within like 2 or 3 days, just because we had a deeper connection. And the three of us are super connected, but we could have been even deeper, more deeply connected, and that stress level was dramatically less, which then means we slept better, which meant we got up a little earlier, which meant we had more time to go out and get the sunshine right away rather than have to worry about, the alarm going off and telling me, right? So I do use the tools, but I use them as tools, not as sort of escapes. And one of the things that's so important about this and this screen addiction is people will actually start to behave. They'll sneak, they'll steal, they'll hide, they'll be super irritable when you take it away. They will act literally like they're addicted to drugs or alcohol. So this is a huge mental and emotional health piece as well. So a couple practical tips. One is to establish a screen curfew, right? I said earlier that we could, do the Wi-Fi and just have it set so that it goes off. But the other thing is just put it in the phone. That's what we did with our daughter, and like her friends, like she just was a misfit for a little bit, but then she started to see, because we had it would just turn off 9:30, boom, no more. So even if you had kind of figured out how to get around your limits, that was it. The whole phone shut off, and it's so good for her, and it's so good for us, because then we get a chance to, so screen curfews are important. The other thing is begin with something manageable, right? Slowly go down on your screen time, and if your kid is getting 3 hours or 6 hours a day, maybe just go down by half hour, an hour, and work down. However, if it becomes so bad that any little incremental movement down, they can't handle, they're super irritable about it, you gotta go to cold turkey. And everyone I've seen do this, it's terrible for about 3 to 4 weeks and maybe 6 weeks. But usually, even by the end of the first week, the kiddo or the adult are gonna say, this is amazing. I'm starting to see the difference. I'm feeling the improvement. I still feel pulled, right? So that's why it might take 4 or 6 weeks. But so many of them are like, oh my God, my mood is better, my thinking is better, my sleep is better, I'm interacting with my friends better. This can save relationships, this can prevent and treat other addictions, so really sometimes you gotta go cold turkey. So there you have it, guys. That's my top 5 hacks for improving your health simply and effectively, super quick, without breaking the bank. And by embracing these 5 health hacks, you're gonna see that your life can dramatically change, and it's not gonna take that long. You're gonna see profound changes in your overall well-being, in your physical body, in your mental, emotional body, and your spiritual connection to all those around you, whatever that may mean for you, right? This is so important. So from the moment that you wake up to the tranquility of your evening routine, to that deep sleep, and then waking up in the morning and feeling just spectacular, having new energy for the day, to every little step you take, to that glass of water, whether it's hydrogen water, electrolyte water, fruit water, that's gonna give you hydration to help clean out your cells, right? So the combination of that hydration with that deep sleep, because that's when the brain is detoxifying and the memories that you're making throughout the day are being solidified. The learning that you do during the day is being solidified. These little things will compound very quickly, and you're going to be feeling absolutely amazing in no time at all. So each and every little step that you're taking is going to take you literally one step closer to that healthier, more vibrant life that we've been talking about, and you deserve so much. So remember, this is a journey. It's not a once, it's not take the magic bullet or take the fancy pill. This is a journey through life where every small change you make will lead to ultimately to a big difference in your health and the way you can go through life and have all these profound experiences and enjoy this whole process that we call life, right? And life is really about the journey and savoring each and every moment along the way, knowing that each and every little step that you take in that direction of health is going to come back to you tenfold, knowing that your body is going to understand and help you along the way. It's just, the self-healing mechanism within the body is incredible. And really, when you start to take these little hacks, it's going to make a huge difference in your life. So let's make health a priority, one hack at a time. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Dr. Tom Moorcroft. If you're loving content like this, please like and subscribe. It helps our channel immensely. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you hit those bell notifications, we'll make sure that you're notified immediately when we post new content like this so that we can really help you take your health to the next level. Until next time, I'm Dr. Tom. Be well.